Hello and welcome to this tutorial for story cards. I'm going to show you all the main features of the app, so let's get started. From the welcome screen, simply click the Create a Document button to create a brand new document and store it in the Files app. The first thing you might want to do is rename your project. You do this by tapping on the cog icon. This will bring up the settings pane where you can then tap on this label here and type in a new name for your project. There are a number of other settings in this window that you may want to investigate, but we'll come back to those later. For now, we'll tap Done. You can now see that the name of the project is reflected at the top of this window. Let's now have a quick look at the various sections of the app. The first is your story cards view. We then have a characters view, a locations view, an editor view, and a reader view. As you can see, these sections are all currently empty, so let's return to the cards view to start creating some content. Cards are a great way to plan out your story scene by scene. You start by hitting the plus button, you can then type in a location for the scene, and then a description of what happens during the course of this scene. When you finish plotting out your scene, you can then tap the add button to add it to your list of cards. Once more, we can tap the plus button to create another card. We can write a scene location and a description, and then click the add button to add the card to your collection. By default, each card has a uniform shape. If we want to make the card match the text length, we can tap this button here. Tapping the ellipsis button reveals 3 additional buttons. The first deletes the card, the second lets us view it, and the third lets us edit it. So if we tap the view button, it will reveal the card, but we can't change the text in this view. This is a great way to preview the text without changing it. If we want to change the text, we can dismiss this view and then tap the edit button, and then we can actually change the text as much as we want, and then tap Done to save the changes. You may have noticed this grey strip below the bottom card. We can move it around by dragging and dropping, and it changes the insertion point for new cards. So if we tap the plus button to create a brand new card, and then we fill the details in, the location and the scene description, and then tap the add button, you can see it gets placed above the insertion line. Like the insertion line, all the cards can be rearranged by dragging and dropping like so. All the options behind the ellipsis button can also be accessed by long pressing on any given card. If we now navigate to the characters section, we can see something quite interesting. It's no longer empty. It now has a tab for Jack and James, the 2 characters we mentioned in our cards. And the same thing is true of locations. Hyde Park and London are now listed. These characters and locations were found automatically using powerful machine learning technologies, but we can also manually add a character or location by tapping the plus button. Once a character is pinned, you can change the name and also add a description. To pin one of the found characters or locations, simply tap on the name and then tap the Pin to Edit button. You can now add a name and a description and tap Done to add it to your collection of pins. As with the cards, you can use the drag and drop gesture to rearrange the names in your pins list. Now let's have a look at the editor section. You write a new chapter by pressing the plus button, and it brings up this minimalist writing environment. The editor supports the Markdown syntax, so it will automatically highlight things like titles, subtitles, and line breaks. So here I've got a title, and I can type a subtitle using the Markdown syntax, and then I can tap the editor menu button, tap the eye icon to see a fully rendered version of this text. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm showing the software keyboard, but this does fully support the external hardware keyboards as well. So you can also type using the Apple keyboards or any third-party Bluetooth keyboard. So with this thrilling story now complete, I'm going to exit the editor by tapping the X button. This will close the editor and return us to the chapters view. And then I'm going to navigate to the characters view. Here we can see that once again the names have been pulled out of the text using the machine learning algorithms, and we can now pin them and add descriptions and change names as we wish. Let's briefly return to the editor section and then open our chapter so we can look at a few more options in the editor menu. So within the editor menu we have a number of features. The first is that you can change the size of the text, making it bigger, smaller, or the default size. We also have full text search, so we can search for words, names, places within our text. The words that you find get highlighted, and if you tap on the screen, it will select the text so you can make changes. The editor menu also has an information button. This will bring up a floating little window that tells you the number of words that you've typed into your editor. The final section is the reader view. This is a great place to sit back and read your entire story. The text from all your chapters is presented in a fully rendered format, and you can jump between the various chapters using the handy menu at the top. We also have the reader menu, which allows you to change the size of your text, do various export options, and see the word and chapter count. So we're now going to have a look at a more fully fleshed out project. This is for Alice in Wonderland. As you can see, I've written out the first few scenes as cards, and we can now use the text search to find various things that we might want to find within the cards. So in this case, I'm going to search for Alice, and you can see it highlights all the references to Alice throughout all the cards. Again, you can now see how we can condense these cards or expand them to their full size using the toggle button at the top of the screen. And now let's look over to the characters section. Here you can see all of the characters that have been found throughout the entirety of the text and the cards. On occasion, the artificial intelligence algorithm may mistag certain things within your text. If this happens, you can always hide these elements by long pressing and tapping the hide button. This will hide these elements from your found cards list, making it much cleaner. If you ever decide that you want to restore these hidden items, you can tap on the cog icon to bring up the settings panel, and then scroll down to tap on the Restore Hidden Characters button or Restore Hidden Locations. Another very powerful feature is the ability to show your characters and locations in context. Long press on a character name and then tap on Showing Context. This will bring up a window showing all of the instances of that character or location within context, so you can see precisely where they appear. And again, all of this works the same way in the Locations tab. So we can now go to the Locations section, tap on one of the locations in the found cards, and then tap on Showing Context, and we can see precisely where this particular location appeared within the story. We also of course have full search here, so we can find our characters or locations instantly, and again use all the same features like Showing Context or Pin. Search also works in the editor as well, so we can tap on the editor menu, tap on the magnifying glass, and then we can just search whatever we wish. You can see that we can use the arrows to move between the various instances, and the current instance is selected in an outline, and then we can tap to select the found word as well. As with all of the various sections within the app, you can long press to bring up a contextual menu, and you can also use drag and drop to rearrange your chapters. And we can once again have a quick look at the reader view. You can see here what it looks like when you have a longer piece of text, and you can also see how we can jump between the various chapters very quickly. If you wish to rename a chapter, you can do so by going to the editor menu and then just tapping in this field here to rename your chapter. So finally, let's have a quick look at the settings panel. You can see here at the top we can rename our project, so we can type in whatever name we wish. We can also change the theming from automatic, light or dark, and obviously the whole app changes accordingly. We have the accent colour section where you can choose from a number of different accent colours ranging from sunset through mint, fireside, neon and sepia, and these just give a nice tint to the overall user interface to make it perfect for your writing environment. We can also have matching icons, so we can change the icon for the app too. And finally we have the focus mode toggle. This is a way to hide the navigation bar when we're within the various views within the app. So if we enable the focus mode, you can see that when I scroll, the navigation bar hides itself, and this persists across all the different views. So in the characters, locations, the editor and the reader, you can see that when you've got focus mode enabled, the navigation bar slides up as you scroll up with your finger. I hope you enjoyed this tour of the various features of the app, and I look forward to seeing what you create with it.